Hey everybody, it's Andy from Gion, and today I'm going to be making some of these canelones with some of this braised pork that I have, and I also have a little bit of foie gras pate. Great, I got my pan heating up here. I'm about to salt my pork real quick. Sometimes before I even set it down on the plate, when I'm taking it out of the packaging, like I'm doing right here, I'll salt the bottom of it just so that wherever it's sitting is already gonna be a salted surface. Sometimes right here to get the sides, if you just bounce it off your hand, but if I kind of hold my hand like this and I bounce this salt, you can kind of see that I can kind of salt the side of this pork without having to pick it up with my hands. Add a little sunflower seed oil. And this piece of pork is doing great. Let's go ahead and check out the bottom of it. Yeah, okay. And again, I'm not too worried about the final color here. You know, these are gonna get pulled and they're gonna go into canelones. So it's not a big deal if they're not, you know, perfectly golden brown. And do your best to get the bottoms and the sides. You know, it's not perfect, but this is gonna be great. This is all we need. Oh, and all these kind of juices right here, you know, there's a little bit of oil from the pan, but I'm just gonna save these. Our vegetables today, kind of your standard mirepoix, carrot, celery, onion, and I have a couple cloves of garlic. All these vegetables that we just prepared are just gonna go in a pot. Some of this fortified master stock that I have that has like pork in it, rabbit in it, chicken in it. We're gonna add in a little bit more water and add in our meat, and we're gonna cook it, you know, for maybe like 4 hours, 5 hours. So this is just something that kind of lives in my freezer. A really fortified homemade stock. Got a really nice dark color to it. Anyways, it's like pure gelatin. Yeah, I got a little fat cap on it. That's okay. That's gonna go in there with everything else. Get everything going in this pot here. Let's add in our vegetables. Oh, I got vegetables going everywhere. God, I had one onion drop on the friggin' floor. Oh man. Anyways, I'll wash that onion off and I'll put it back in. Anyways, we're gonna try to nestle this meat a little better down in there, heat everything up, cover it with water, and cook it super slow. Un poco de agua. Bueno. I got a couple ugly looking bay leaves. This liquid isn't even heated up yet, but the glass, the kind of fortified master stock that I added to it, has completely infused the water, and now we have like kind of a beautiful looking broth, and we haven't even gotten started yet. I'm gonna bring this liquid up to a sub simmer, maybe like 175 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm never gonna let it boil. And when I cook it that way, what's gonna end up happening is the meat's gonna be really tender and braised. And on the inside, it's still gonna have kind of a pink hue to it, just because we're gonna cook it super, super low and slow. Once your friggin' meat looks like this, you know, I just turned down the heat to 2, and I'm gonna leave this here. I'm gonna go and do things with my day and just leave this on the stove. If that sounds dangerous to you, you know, I guess it kind of is. 6 hours later. This is an example of when your braise doesn't look like it's doing anything. And you think about it and you realize this thing is friggin' cooking. Ooh, that's hot. One important part of this process is if you let it kind of sit and cool down in the braising liquid, it will retain a lot more moisture. There's a car alarm going off in the background, and I'm about to put this to bed for the night because I'm gonna tackle this again tomorrow. That's one of the beautiful things about braised meats. Cool it down in its braising liquid and put it to bed. You can see, like, as I pick it up, it's not like, you know, completely falling apart, but you can see like it wants to fall apart badly. Like if I shake it a little bit, oh God. My wife was off work yesterday and I ignored this for a whole day and just put it in the fridge, which is fine. We're gonna get back to it today. The only difference is I got inspired by one of the Jose Andres recipes, and he was doing a little bit of foie gras included in his canelones. So I'm gonna do a little bit of foie mixed with this braised pork. I'm gonna top it with a bechamel, put some cheese on top, throw it in the oven, brown it up, and eat it. I'm just gonna make my bechamel so I have it ready while I get everything else going. I don't want a huge amount of bechamel, but I'm gonna start with a lump of butter. It's about, 2.5 tablespoons. To that, I'm just gonna add a little bit of flour, and this is, whatever, all-purpose flour. Normally you do about a 50-50 mix. Basically, you just heat this up on the stove. I don't know if you can see this, but you basically just heat this mixture up here. Kind of toast the flour a little bit. Don't cook it super, super hot, but make sure you're stirring it with a rubber spatula as you go. We warm this up, we toast it, and then I go ahead, I whisk in a little bit of milk. Normally you want your milk to be hot, but I do it with cold milk all the time and it works out totally fine. After that, we're gonna season it, we're gonna set it aside, and we're gonna get back to our canelones. This is roughly the consistency that you want with your roux mixture, which is just your butter and all-purpose flour mixture. Once we cook out this floury taste, after about 7 minutes, this will start to smell nice and toasted and golden brown, almost like, I don't know, kind of like cooked grains. And it'll get this beautiful toasty aroma. At that point, we're gonna whisk in the milk very slowly until we get to our desired consistency, and then we'll season it. If I look in the bottom of this, I can see I'm starting to get a little bit of browning color on the bottom. And at this point, I'm gonna turn my heat down a little bit, and I'm gonna start to whisk in my milk. And I'm gonna just keep stirring this until I get all that milk absorbed into the bechamel mixture. Just keep doing this. And just so everybody can see this right here, you know, we got a nice smooth consistency. This is kind of thicker than I want it to be for my sauce. If I was making something like croquetas, maybe I would want it to be this thickness, but I'm gonna keep adding a little more milk. And the other thing I'm gonna do at this stage is I'm gonna start seasoning it really gently, really slowly. Just a little bit of kosher salt. You can see my consistency is pretty nice. I do kind of want a little more liquid. And one thing that's unique about making some of these bechamel type sauces is at first when you add the liquid, you kind of think, oh man, I messed this up. This isn't working. But it's just like adding, you know, water to flour. Sometimes if you just give it time, you'll find the sauce wants the extra liquid. It's just a little stubborn. It's a nice consistency. When your bechamel is done, you can just put it in a little bowl, cover it with plastic wrap, and we'll use it a little bit later. Plastic wrap. One thing I love about these lasagna noodles right here is, you know, normally these are kind of no-boiled noodles, but if you want to make something like canelones where you require a wrapped pasta, all you need to do is take these guys, throw them in a little container with just some hot water from the sink and maybe a little bit of olive oil, and they'll soften up nicely in like 5 minutes. I'm gonna do about 12 of these sheets to fit inside, you know, one casserole dish. A little bit of olive oil, just move them around so they don't stick together too much. Into my braised pork right here, I'm just gonna add a little bit of this foie gras pate. It has a little bit of caramelized onion in it. Just to point this out, if you go into the grocery store, you'll find that some of these pates, for instance, this one is 20% foie gras pate content. It's only about 2.5 euros in the grocery store. If you want to get the pure foie gras pate, it's going to be closer to 9 euros, but you will have a 98% foie product. You just take this out of its package. You can see I got this nice and soft at room temp. Boop, boop, boop. Have no fear. This is all just going to get mixed up together. We got our noodles softening up. Maybe another 2 minutes on those. And yeah, we can stuff our canelones, we can top them with some bechamel. And this is kind of one of my favorite parts about making canelones, is assembly time. And it starts with just a little bit of this bechamel in the base of your dish. For these, let's do, I don't know, we'll do like 6 at a time. Stuff these with filling. And we just roll these suckers up. Sometimes these noodles get a little bit stuck together, that's okay. And yeah, I used up all my filling. We're ready to cover this with a little bit of bechamel, cover it with a little bit of cheese, and get it baking. This right here is your pan rallado. It's like really fine little breadcrumbs. I don't want a ton of that. But let's say I just want to give this a little sprinkling on top. So my braised pork and foie gras pate, canelones with some bechamel, a little bit of emmental, gratinar, a little bit of pan rallado. These suckers are ready to be baked in the oven. I'm gonna bake them at like whatever, 200 Celsius, you know, maybe 400 Fahrenheit, or about 30 minutes, or however long it takes to brown the cheese on top. Oh man, one thing about my kitchen right now is it's a little freaking warm. That's one thing about using the oven. If I could do this again, I might use a different melting cheese than queso emmental, just because I couldn't really get the browning that I was looking for. But it's gonna be delicious. It smells amazing. Wow. The pork with the foie gras pate, it goes together really nicely. I see why this is a combination with chicken. It's great. I thought the foie was gonna almost like kind of melt and give off more of its fat, but this thing kind of, you know, it held together. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I was feeling maybe a little bit salty about my outcome, just in terms of like the amount of golden brown that I had going on. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm just gonna top this with a little more mozz. I'll do mozz on one. I'll do a little piece of queso edam on the other, but I just want to show you, like, we can get a nicer looking outcome here. This is just a piece of queso edam cheese that I like kind of cut up, and whatever, we'll just kind of shingle it on like this. And I'm gonna broil them at a higher temperature than I did earlier. So let's toss these in the oven, and you know, maybe this ends up looking a little nicer. We'll see. Was my heat maybe even too high here? Sure. You know, the queso edam, not a great look, but the mozz came out really nice. You can see the mozz is on the left, queso edam is on the right. In the future, if I was gonna do this again, sure, I would use the mozzarella cheese. Anyways, we learn new things every day here. I did want to take one more quick tasting video, just because I noticed compared to my queso emmental, you know, if I use mozz, I'm just getting kind of a better outcome. A little more of a cheese pull. Really good. Oh, it's hot. This is so good. Try it at home. I think you'll like it.